Oh, yeah. All right. Let's see. There's one thing I forgot to do, guys. It's not crucial right now, but I totally forgot to pull up the randomizer for the end of the show. Are we live? Are we live? Are we doing this? What's up, everybody? How we doing? This is the first one. This is the first one we're doing. Oh, there we go. Yeah! Look at that. Monday night movie, Monday club, weekly movie club. First episode. It's a working title. Hope everybody's doing good tonight. We announced it a week ago. If you didn't get the notice, well, you weren't paying attention. That's fine. That's fine. We're reviewing movies every week, and we'll give you a chance to review them with us in some kind of weird way. I don't know. You'll be privy to it if you watch it when we announce it. We'll announce next week's movie at the end of this one, but this week's personal favorite, Watchmen. It's from 2009. It's a superhero movie, but it's not a superhero movie? You know what I mean? Someone explain. Okay, I'll explain.
Anti-hero movie, maybe? Perhaps?
I mean, they advertised the movie as sort of like, you know, before the Marvel Cinematic Universe was a thing. They kind of advertised it as, you know, this is a movie about superheroes and whatnot, but it's really not. Like, it's it's very political. It's about fictional wartime in the 80s. Like, the Cold War actually kicks off into a near full-blown nuclear war. It's about human nature and how they react to a godlike being on the planet. It's a really good look at human nature, and I think every character in this movie is so well written. It's like, if any movie deserves an episode of this, it's this movie. Right?
I agree. Yeah.
Right. I mean, I've got pages of notes. I know it doesn't look like it. This is only one page that I was writing at work yesterday. But there's a lot to dissect with this movie. Let's see. You've got the comedian representing sort of this nihilistic view of the world. He sees through everything, and I mean, just like a comedian, you know, just laughs about it all and takes part in it, even though he regrets it all. You've got Ozymandias, Adrian Veidt, you know, you've got he's so smart and arrogant, he thinks he can change the world. Night Owl, your impotent sort of fat slob who regrets hanging up his mask. You've got Rorschach, who's just unwavering, just brutal, just vigilant justice, living sort of a monk-like lifestyle. Well, not really holy, but, you know, just minimalistic, I guess. There's a lot to talk about. And I'm going to be honest, I don't know how to get into talking about it. But
I'd say the comedian. Oh, sorry.
No,
I would
please.
say the comedian's more cynical than nihilistic. Dr. Manhattan's more on the nihilism side, in my opinion.
Dr. Manhattan, that is interesting. I don't know. I would say the comedian sort of has a nihilism because he sees everything that's going on and just continues to take part in it again and again and again. What seemingly until the very end, but I guess you're right. It's more because we see several scenes, right? We see several scenes where he does care, and you know, sometimes you got to rewatch it a second or third time to see that, like, you know, no, he's not just this sociopathic monster. He's living in a broken world, and he's trying to embrace it. You know, that makes life easier when you just embrace, you know, the fallen world he's in and the sin he's surrounded by and called to do, you know?
I think he understands human sinfulness more than any other character, but he doesn't understand that there can be redemption.
Right, yeah.
I agree with that, for sure. Yep.
What's your take? Jason Scholl.
So yeah. So first of all, that's what I love the most about this film or these characters. I'm not familiar with the comic, so I'm only familiar with the film. So everything I think and know about this movie is from the movie itself. But
Are we back? Am I done having internet issues? Oh, God.
Yeah, I think it's back. Somebody said
Sorry,
turn us
guys.
up, though.
Yeah, turn y'all up. Okay.
So yeah, I like the comedian a lot because it's one of the more, I want to say, honest characters. You know, you have this guy who's sort of reached a level of he sees the absurdity of it all, and I would agree with Static. He's cynical, but he's laughing his way through it because he views it as so absurd, right? Like the extremes and the paradoxes of reality. And I think all these characters explore different aspects of sort of the development of a person from this idealistic youthfulness into age. As we age and progress, you know, it's kind of natural to become a little more cynical, a little more cemented in whatever it is your perspective is. You know what I mean? I think at first everyone starts out bright-eyed and everyone has their ideals and everything else, and then, you know, reality corrects you. Right? Like, yeah. Yes, it doesn't mean you should forfeit your ideals. It just means, you know, on the ground level, those ideals might not be manifested. But yeah, for me, the comedian's one of the more interesting characters to me. of course, very charming character. I think the actor did a phenomenal job.
Oh yeah.
Some of the scenes with him, they're so complex. They bring up so many questions of morality and uh, uh, human nature. And that's what I like about him, because, like I said, I think he's just being very honest. You know, he understands his place in the world, the mission, and he's not going to take it so seriously. And like you said, we do see him have real human moments where he's regretful, he's sad, he's upset. You know, but that's why I like him. It's such a rich character arc, and that's why I think it's interesting that he's sort of the center of the story. You know, he's the one who uncovers Vight's scheme, and he's the first one taken out, and that's what sort of rekindles the you know, the reconstituting of these other heroes to figure out what happened to him and track down Veidt. So I think that's not that's an intentional thing, that he was sort of the catalyst or primary mover of the storyline in that regard.
I'd agree. Yeah, I mean the movie, if you think about it, like the first half of the movie is just about him, right? Oh shit. Uh-oh. Yeah. Oh, okay, my bad. I was looking at the I was looking at the stream. I'm like, uh-oh, is he talking? And yeah, no, half the movie is really about how everyone is reacting to the death of this guy that they know he's not a bad guy, but they can't have the public opinion that he's not a bad guy. You know, they all have to keep up appearances and be like, oh yeah, what a monster Eddie Blake was. But in reality, they know he was a troubled soul, and he was called to do a lot of bad things, and then did some bad things on his own, you know, like with Silk Spectre. Yeah. But, you know, half the movie's about him, and then I would probably consider, I mean, Rorschach to be like the main, I don't know, maybe not the main focus, but the most entertaining aspect of it too. Rorschach's take on everything, which is shallow and schizoid, but his crazy derangement leads everyone to finding out the truth, you know?
Yes. Very black and white.
Yeah, it's a real contrast, but they're two very similar characters, and it's sort of like they both have the same awareness of the world, but they take a different approach in the walks of life they have to dealing with that truth of the world, the ugly truth of humanity being awful. You know?
Yeah. I agree. So there's a couple things. So you have Rorschach and the comedian sort of, like you said, similar perspectives, but one has a reaction of laughing at it, seeing it as like a joke, cosmic level joke, and the other one has this stark sense of justice. So in one sense, you could say it's like that quote, right? Life to the one who thinks is a comedy. Life to the one who feels is a tragedy. Yeah. Rorschach is the feeler in that regard. He feels because of his childhood, and so he feels this injustice. So he has to correct it, and it's kind of a paradox, right? Because in his pursuit of justice, he is just as much a monster, if not more of a monster, than the monsters he's bringing justice to. So I love how this complex character writing sort of weaves in all these layers and paradoxes, and I love how they all have sort of a persona. And to static what you said with, you know, Rorschach's very black and white. I mean, even his face is a Rorschach test. It's black and white, and that's his face to the world, and that's what he looks through. That's his lens, right? And so it's literally black and white, and it's interesting, right? Because it's a morphing, and so there, it's just fantastic symbolism, in my opinion. I think there's wonderful symbolism all throughout this movie and these characters. But what do you think, Static?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of like esoteric Crowleyan symbolism as well. I think
Yeah, for sure.
I think the writer of the comic book was really into that esoteric
Alan Moore.
occult
Alan Moore.
stuff.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
You know, depopulation and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Egyptian mythology.
Right. Right.
Yes.
A lot of pagan stuff. Then he Alan Moore's definitely a weirdo, but he did write, you know, a damn good story.
I like the comic a lot more than the movie. For
Really?
Sure. Yeah. Yeah.
Interesting.
So-
Yeah.
Well, because me and Nick, we're unfamiliar with the comics, so tell us what you think.
Yeah, I think the director stayed fairly true to it, but he kind of missed some of the underlying themes from the comic. Like one example I briefly mentioned to you guys earlier was the Night Owl. In the comic, his costume is spandex and kind of goofy looking, but in the movie they made him, you know, sort of like a badass Batman kind of costume. And I think that sort of plays into the whole like overweight 40 something impotent guy a little better than looking like a total badass.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
But his costume does sort of reflect, like, I don't know, in the movie it sort of reflects like something that might seem more practical in combat versus just spandex.
Yeah.
But I get what you mean.
Yeah,
I've seen images of him in the comic, and yeah, he's got a gut. He's a little pudgy.
Yeah.
You know, he's a dork.
Yeah, and this like the scene when him and what's her name? Silk, the girl. I can't remember her name now. Yeah. When they decide to suit up again and beat up the guys in the alleyway, that's in the comic too, but it's more like, it's kind of more like a brutal murder instead of like a really badass like superhero slow-mo fight scene, you know what I mean? Like they're real people. They aren't superheroes.
Right. There's only one superpowered being in the whole thing. And he's not even really a hero. He's just sort of he's just sort of blankly there on heavy SSRIs and manipulating energy to his will, which is great. That's what you want out of a superpowered being.
He's the deism personified, you know, sort of the
scientism,
you know, the impersonal watchmaker who sees everything as, he thinks free will is sort of a joke, right? He thinks it's a lie, ultimately.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah,
he's kind of like the technocrats that want to make themselves gods through science, you know, in real life. And
well, it's interesting you bring up technocrats, because Veidt in the film, especially, he reminded me of like an Elon Musk or something. Like, you know, he's got his like Neuralink headband, and he's like this ultra rich, quote unquote smart. Honestly, I think Elon being intelligent is a psyop. But I think, you know, there's obviously like actual brain power from other people, you know, that he's probably paying for through government contracts. But I found Veidt like an Elon character. Like he thinks he's going to implement his will to reshape the world in his image, and he has, you know, sort of the government contracts to do it. But on the comedian and Rorschach, I really think that there's an interesting thing with those two, and it's not just those two. I think it's present in other combinations of characters as well. I think that there's like polarities, and when you think of polarity, most people think it means opposite, but a polarity is actually they're the same. They're just differing in degree. You know what I mean? So like the comedian and the Rorschach, I think they're speaking to one archetype, but we're seeing two polarities of the archetype. You know what I'm saying? And the difference between the comedian and Rorschach is the comedian is sort of purely in the moment. He doesn't necessarily believe in judgment or justice, right? And Rorschach that's all he's about. That's his number one concern. So in a way, the comedian is sort of this jester figure living outside of the structures of time and causality and consequence, all that stuff. Like that's sort of in the back burner for him, right? But for Rorschach, he wants that to be the forefront of his existence. Like that, there's so many moments that speak to this. And interesting about like jesters, you know, they remind us of the absurdity of taking life too seriously. And of course, these are two extremes, right? So you know, the ideal it would be somewhere in the middle. You'd want to be half comedian, half Rorschach. You know, if you were trying to like imbibe a life based on these characters, you'd want sort of the best of both down the middle, right? But the jesters, they force people to confront hidden truths and reality. In psychology, they would say, you know, this is an archetype that brings you into confrontation with your shadow self, right? The dark, hidden, unpredictable aspects of consciousness or whatnot. And the jester, he represents a breakdown of the rigid structures, so that new perspectives can emerge. And another word for a jester is sort of a sacred fool, representing the ultimate bridge between like chaos and enlightenment. And they can be like spiritually rebellious and subversive, but they expose hidden truths, and that's because they're playing a madman. They can mock the societal norms and reveal profound wisdom without censorship, because they're sanctioned by the authority to do so, right? Like you think of the court jester, you know, kings always had jesters, and you know, if some peasant walked up to the king and said something offensive, they'd be, you know, flogged or beheaded or whatever, right?
Right.
But the court jester, he can directly point out the absurdities of the king's behavior or the societal structure and whatnot, and that's he's free to do that. And that's interesting to me that the comedian is the only legacy member of the Minutemen who's sanctioned by the government to still operate. Everyone else had to retire or become an outlaw because the Keene Act in the storyline, they passed an act where masked vigilantism is now outlawed,
right,
unless you work for the government.
Yes,
so
and the only one who
literally a
disobeyed
court
that.
jester.
Yeah, the only one who disobeyed that and stayed true to just having his own motive was Rorschach.
Yes,
and it's kind of cool what you said about. You said about, look, they're all sort of like individual. You want to be a balance of the comedian and Rorschach. You want to be you want to be aware of the world, but you want to be vigilant about it too. And you want to be strong in your moral convictions and everything. And yeah, every sort of those, I think every character sort of has an element of what you should be. I mean, minus the whole paganistic or nihilistic sort of look at stuff. But yeah, you know, you want to be able to laugh at, you know,
Yeah.
sometimes horrible things happen, laugh it off. You can't do anything about it, you know, but also you want to be strong to your mission, your own personal mission. Static, what do you think?
I don't think you'd want to be any of them because they're kind of like seeking to be their own saviors and their own truth and their own gods. Yeah, so I don't think I'd want to be any of them.
Okay.
Combined or not
Yeah,
combined.
well, of course, that is a good point. If you want to bring it into the real world, you know, none of these. This is definitely not like a Christian
No, no.
exploration of humans, right? By any means. So I'd agree with you on that. Dang it, I lost my thought. But
I mean, this whole movie, it's sort of there's not really any Christianity in it at all.
no.
And I mean, of
Yeah.
course, you'd want to live a godful life and everything, but it's sort of more. I think it's just a really good look at just human nature and the human psyche and personalities and whatnot.
That reminds me of what I was gonna say. So, like, oftentimes, it's not always the case, but oftentimes and I would say this is one of them. Watchmen is one of them. In creative works, the group as a whole represents one inner mind, right? Like, so you see like crystallized projections of one central amalgam of all these things, which is what we are in real life, right? We all have our inner comedian, our inner Rorschach, our inner whatnot, right? When I watch films or graphic novels, read them, or any creative work, even just basic films and stuff, I oftentimes think of like, okay, most films have a group of characters, and that group of characters is speaking to the inner dynamics of an individual, even though they're separate people entirely in the art. You know, one person wrote this, or one person directed and wrote this, right? And so it's like there's different dynamics and aspects of personality that are brought out into their own characters, and then we see how they interact with one another, and this speaks to and of course this is not a Christian concept either, but like Jungian psychology, right? The archetypes and psychological alchemy, and how, you know, you think of chemicals and how they interact and bond or repel, and that's what we're seeing with these character dynamics. We're seeing psychological alchemy occurring, and if we want to talk about like Silk Spectre and her love triangle with Night Owl 2 and Dr. Manhattan, to me, that that love triangle is showing us an alchemical process of psychology, of development, because we see how her relationship with one is waning because this one is not, they're no longer bonding, right? The chemical bond is broken, so to speak, right? They're not bonding anymore.
Right.
And so she turns to Night Owl, and they bond, and they meet. And in that bonding process, each one individually is transformed into something new, because they were both, you know, you have the Night Owl 2, he's like aloof, disinterested, sort of, you know, hermit mode, like washed up nobody, right?
Regretful about it too. Regretful about it, and he's constantly trying to prove to everyone that he's made the right move. Like, oh, it's stupid.
Exactly.
It's stupid fighting for what you believe in and trying to right wrongs. Just retire. Just hang it up. Live a boring life.
Yeah,
you know, don't stand for anything.
exactly. He and Silk have both reached a point in their lives where they no longer have a genuine purpose that they can get behind or care about. And so them coming back together reignites both of them individually into, we see them, beating up dudes in the alleys, and then they're going on crime fighting missions together, and they're both active again, and they're both, they're coming out of retirement, so to speak. And interestingly enough, there's symbolism between those two. And I don't want to dominate, so if either of you guys want to jump in. But I do have some notes on my analysis of their union and what that might represent, like psychologically or alchemically, because like we said, Alan Moore was into all this stuff, right? This work is like chock full of this stuff.
I do have something real quick about Silk Spectre, sort of related to what you're talking about. That was different in the comic, that I didn't think they really showed very well in the movie.
Okay.
She didn't want to be a vigilante. Her mother sort of pressured her into it, and that kind of ties into what Jason was just saying.
Okay.
Go ahead, Jason.
Interesting. Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, I didn't know that. And before we get into Silk Spectre and the love triangle, I want to say, man, her mom's Miss Jupiter, Silk Spectre 1. What a character!
Yeah.
We said that there's no Christianity in this. I take that back. She, in my opinion, represents the most Christian character in this movie, because she forgave the unforgivable. She went against the societal norm. She forgave the comedian for his violation, his molestation of her, right? She went back to him, and then that going back to him, forgiving him, and then making love. She couldn't deny she loved this guy.
And that's a good point. She was the only person who wouldn't admit the comedian was like this horrible piece of shit of a human being. She was the only person who publicly forgave him, accepted him for his flaws, and went back to him and made a beautiful baby.
That's an interesting.
Yes,
that's an interesting thought, because in the opening montage, she kind of portrays like an antichrist figure. There's like a Last Supper scene, and she's in Jesus's spot, and she's pregnant.
So what's funny about that? I think that the whole setup of the Last Supper sort of thing is to sort of throw you off from what's actually happening in that scene. Man, I wish I pulled that up for reference, but what you see in that scene is truly a bigger example of what Jason said. They loved each other. And I mean, you could see it in their faces. The comedian and original Silk Spectre, Sally Jupiter, just staring at each other in that scene. I think the whole Last Supper thing was to just sort of throw you off from that element.
Yeah. Well, so
I think it also kind of represents that they're like looked at like gods, that
might be.
Yeah, right. Superheroes.
So there's like when the Night Owl and Silk Spectre save those people from the burning building, that little girl is like, "Mommy, is that Jesus?" She's like, "No, sweetie."
Oh yeah. And it's funny. I don't think that's in the original theatrical cut. That little line.
Yeah, I don't think it is either. Yeah.
Yeah, it's weird how each cut adds like fractions, just very small amounts of stuff that was left out. But that was kind of a cringe line in that movie, because we rewatched it last night. I was like, "Whoa, what did she say?" And I'm like,
I think it kind of made sense with the themes. They probably could have done it a little bit better, but
no, it made sense with the themes.
well, even if maybe we of course we're Christians, so we're gonna read deeply into that reference. But I think maybe it was just purely like, oh, this guy saved me. He's a savior. He's a therefore the little kid associated being saved with Jesus, right? But I can't speak to the true intention of that reference or what it might mean or whatever. But like about Sally Jupiter and the comedian, all these characters are sort of an antithesis to the normie society at large, right? Like what the normie society says is good or bad, or what you should do in this situation or that situation. And all these characters express sort of divergent opinions or views or whatever to what, quote unquote, the normie masses would say, and in their own ways. And for me, with Sally Jupiter forgiving the comedian and actually being in love with the guy, but not being able to have that love and be accepted for that love, she had to live in isolation. And she's in this retirement home drinking, self-medicating, because if society knew that this
she's drinking and she's self-medicating with a photo of the comedian next to her. And as you see in the comedian's apartment, dude, he's got her plastered everywhere. He loves her.
Yes, they both are lamenting that they can't have this thing because of the nature of what happened prior to their falling in love, right? Society would say, oh, even most people, they watch that scene where the comedian, goes into the pool room with her, and he
kicks her legs open,
has a violent encounter, sexual encounter, but it's cut short, and then for her to go back to him, everyone in her life would obviously say, why would you ever go back to him? You should hate that guy. You should, but she loved him, and he loved her. And something about, and this is what I'm saying, how chemistry is a great metaphor for human interaction, because which is what alchemy is actually talking about, right? These two chemicals, these two people came into contact, they had a volatile reaction, and out of that volatile reaction came a bond that it wasn't sanctioned by society, so they had to stay separate, and they had to keep this crime of love a secret. How painful, right? And it almost makes me think a little bit, I might be reaching, but I think there's certain aspects of that speak to the Adam and Eve story. Adam was like, I'm ride or die. We're falling together. You already ate the fruit. Well, okay, I guess we're cast out. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
So there's like an interesting dynamic to that, like how.
I think there's also an element as well. I'm sorry to cut you off, but there's also an element as well of, I mean, they both know the comedian, he's gonna do what he's gonna do. You know what I mean? Like he becomes contracted with the federal government and like starts fighting in Vietnam for some reason alongside Dr. Manhattan. Like, he's not going to be there as the father he needs to be, and she's not the woman to drag him down to fatherhood. Not drag him down like it's some sort of dishonor, but you know what I mean. Pull him from where he's at into a stable fatherhood role, and there's a tragedy in that as well.
Oh man,
she's just lucky that he didn't shoot her like his Vietnamese
baby. But so that's what I love about these characters. They're so well written, and we're being confronted with human nature. Yes, we all have ideals and what should and what all this, right? But at the end of the day, we still have the flesh. We still have passions and desires. We do our best to tame them. However, the sometimes these primal drives, right? These adrenaline fueled primal drives break through all the illusion that we cast upon reality with our should have, would have, could have, whatever. And things are what they are at the end of the day, right? And this thing, it was ugly at first, but then it was something beautiful. And this speaks to, this is just my opinion, this speaks to, we don't, this is Christ on the cross saying, forgive them, Lord, they don't know what they do. And that awful thing, the crucifixion, right, led to global salvation. So we think something's terrible, and we're all reactive and we're all upset, but that terrible thing, actually God wove it through time into something beautiful with great fruits, because she had a beautiful daughter who she loved, and so we're so quick to judge and stamp down on things with our idealism, and we don't give reality time. The good, the bad, and the ugly, it all comes to fruition, and God's present in all of it, and he's working these things out. And so to me, the comedian and Sally Jupiter's whole ordeal, their whole arc and everything, was probably, in my opinion, the most beautiful, sentimental, even though it was the ugliest. It was also at the same time, because when I think about this stuff, it's like, you ever meet someone and they're just sort of a lame person. They have basic taste. They don't have any hot takes. They don't
ham and eggers.
They've never done anything interesting.
They call those ham and eggers.
And then you'll meet people who are more where like, not only am I more evil than you, I'm also more good than you. You know what I mean? Like it's a full expansion. Like we want to put things on a linear, right? But we're not thinking in 3D. Like what happened with them was ugly, and it was more ugly and more beautiful.
They have depth.
Everyone else,
I think is what you're saying. They have depth as a person. You know what I mean? I got this weird curse, just to sidetrack real quick. I've got this weird curse whenever I have a job. If someone gets hired on the same level as me or higher, I lose that job within 3 weeks if they're a boring ham and egger milk toast person. You know what I mean? If they don't have depth, if they haven't been through shit, if they haven't if they haven't experienced anything extreme and they're just the blandest person, I lose that job. It happens every time. Because you can't vibe with those people. You can't gel with them.
Yeah, no, I agree 100%.
Static, what do you think about? Oh, sorry, go on.
Yeah. No, I was gonna say the same thing. Let's pass it to him, because I do have more notes on symbolism revolving around Jupiter, that reference, and other things, and the owl and stuff. So
nice.
I'll let Static.
And we do want to get into your schizoid review of it, but Static, go ahead.
While we're still talking about the comedian, real quick, I have a question for you guys. What do you think the significance of him saying "Forgive me, Mother" multiple times is?
That's a good question.
Yeah, that is a good question.
You want to go first, Jason?
Well, of course, it could be multi-layered, and it's probably ambiguous because they want you to project your own interpretation, to reflect something about you. That's what great art does. It brings you in as a participant into the work. And so your perception of the work is there's a unique thing happening, right? Like, you watch the movie and you have a unique experience of the movie. We watch the same movie, but we actually watch two different movies. You know what I mean? I think so if I was just to take that phrase in isolation, knowing his nature and his character, perhaps what led him to such cynicism was maybe he had a tumultuous relationship with his mother, A second option might be maybe because the comedian, and I said this last night, he's libidinal. His libido is out of control, right?
Yes.
Like he's just getting off on reality, just going crazy, laughing at everything. I mean, so this guy is very libidinal, and he can't control it. He can't control it because I think he respects a primal nature of his truth. You know what I mean? He's not going to repress it. You know, we would argue you should repress it, right? Because playing with fire, you get burnt, right? And that's exactly what happens to him. He plays with fire and he got burnt. But perhaps maybe he violated his own mother. Maybe he's, mother, forgive me for what I did to you, perhaps. Like an Oedipus bizarre type dynamic. I don't that's my initial thought on it. I'd have to think about it longer. I mean, I don't necessarily think he's talking about the Virgin Mary or the Theotokos or anything. But then again, at his funeral, he has a Catholic priest overseeing the funeral. So maybe, and I'm not familiar with the comics, so maybe it's in there. But as far as I know, he had some connection to Catholicism, because why else would there be a Catholic funeral?
So, yeah, he says this quote twice. He says it twice. He says it once at the beginning when he's about to be thrown out of the window of his apartment, and he says it again when he's on his rival's bed and when he breaks in drunk, and he's, it's a joke. It's all a joke. Mother, forgive me. Yeah, on Moloch's bed. I do think it. I think that there's a duality of it. I think it's both a Catholic or sort of Christian thing, because we could see, he's got a priest at his funeral. Moloch, who visits his grave, does the sign of the cross, in the Catholic way. Yeah. And on top of that, I mean, he probably did. He's probably got, mommy issues. I mean, we're going to be watching a movie soon sometime on this list. We have a long list of movies we got to go over. Boxing Elena, that's one that I just watched recently too, and that's a guy with clear mother resentment issues, and I mean, he might have that as well. The mother forgive me thing, it's sort of shown in his behavior with the molestation scene, and also the murdering his slant side piece sort of thing that he had going on,
and when he drops into that riot and the first person he punches is a woman.
Yes, he's sitting up on Archimedes.
Yeah.
Someone throws a can at him and he just goes, I'm gonna jump down and punch this woman in the face first. To be fair, she was probably the loudest out of the whole crowd, though.
He has a deep turmoil rooted in his libido, his malformed libido, and his violations against women, right? So that's probably why he's, mother, forgive me. I violated you more than anyone. It
goes back.
Men, it's mutual. With men, it's mutual combat, right? I mean, it's when it comes to a man violating a woman, that's a whole nother tier of egregiousness, right? So
yeah. It goes back to the duality of the characters, because Rorschach, if I'm correct in what I'm saying, and I haven't read the comics, so I don't know if the comedian has a backstory with his mother or not, but these two characters are so damn similar. They just went through different walks of life. Rorschach is another one. Severe mommy issues. I mean, his mom was a whore who... we don't know what the comedian's mom was, but his mom was a whore. He watched his mom being a whore. He dealt with bullying and ridicule as a child with his mom being a whore. And, I don't know. I'm going to say it. Comedian's mom was probably a whore.
Yeah, maybe.
Or just a bitch.
Or she was good and he tainted that, right? Maybe that's why he's all
right, maybe she wasn't a whore, but he probably had a bad relationship with his mother, if it was written somewhere. All right. let's move on to... I got a question. And it's sort of a shift, a total shift in this. And then, Jason, I want you to schizo rant a little bit after on the symbolism. If you had to pick a villain in this movie, who's the villain?
The government.
The government? Okay. Explain.
The government. So that I love the political nature of this story. The government to me seems to be it's sort of the unseen crux of what all these hero characters are involved with and
Right.
reacting to or participating in. So you have this like hidden hand of the government, imperialism. Nixon gets his third term because this is like an alternate 80s timeline, right? It's all about warfare and imperialism and this sort of, and this speaks to the comedian's character again, this right-wing libido that has to dominate and control. It has to instill order, but it doesn't do it through individuals having a method of enlightenment and understanding. It's through oppression. It's through censorship.
Shallow.
It's through so yeah, I would say the government's probably the villain ultimately, and of course, Veidt is he's a villain. However, but you could say almost all these characters are villains. Maybe with the exception of Silk Spectre. I don't think she's necessarily a villain. Or Night Owl. I think they're the only two.
Yeah.
I think out of all the characters, those are the two that are most well adjusted.
But Night Owl's so scared of doing the wrong thing. You know what I mean? Night Owl's so scared of doing the wrong thing. That's why he couldn't be a villain, because he's minimal depth. I mean, he's got depth in his character for sure, but like,
So I interpret him through. Okay, so he's an owl. Owls are discernment, wisdom, and I think with too much discernment and wisdom, you become paralyzed. You can't act because you're trying to see 20 chess moves ahead in the game, to where now you won't make a move because every theoretical chain of events will lead to something undesirable. Therefore, you just don't do anything, right? I think that's the core of his exactly. Yeah, I think that's the core of his impotency. Is he's way too in his head about discerning and the word hesitation comes to mind.
Yeah.
What do you guys think?
He's hesitant, he's weak, but I think a good villain, the best villains are the ones that you could possibly side with or see their reasoning and their motives, and it's a good motive. You know what I mean? The Joker, throughout comic book history or movie history or whatever, shitty villain. He's just a senseless psychopath. You know what I mean? Adrian Veidt, on the other hand, like, that's a good villain. He's looking out for he's trying to achieve world peace and end wars.
He's like a Thanos, basically.
Yeah, Thanos was another good example of a villain, well written.
Yeah.
You know,
and both have the color schemes of purple and gold as well.
Yes,
which I'll get into that.
Excellent.
That's another difference between the comic. Veidt in the comic is less of a caricature of a like stereotypical villain.
Okay.
Like in the movie, he's like almost like a Bond villain or something. You know what I mean? But in the comic, it's a little more ambiguous.
How so?
It's just not as like, I mean, he still kind of has the same goal of killing millions of people to save billions or whatever, but it's more, I don't know, it's just less like, stereotypical comic book villain.
Okay.
I don't really know how to explain it, but
And I had the question, who do you think is the real villain in this? If you had to pick one main bad,
I agree with what Jason said.
The government? How so?
Yeah, the government, but also and Veidt as well. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of what the comedian said. It's all a cosmic joke. It's they all kind of think that they're doing things for the good of humanity, but
right.
They all kind of fail in the end.
If I had to pick one, I'd say it's human nature. Human nature is the true villain in all of this.
Okay, yeah.
We are flawed beings, and I mean that goes hand in hand with it being, the government. The government, it's made up of people, flawed human beings.
Yeah.
The main characters of the story, they're all flawed human beings, and I mean, yeah, it's the arrogance of Adrian Veidt, who thinks he has the authority to sacrifice millions to save billions, and on the illusion of it's a lie. It's a lie, and to frame Dr. Manhattan for it. How does that happen in the comics, by the way? Like, so for those who don't know, if you've seen the movie, right, you know that Adrian and Dr. Manhattan are working on alternative energy, and the Doctor is teleporting these reactors all over the world to create free, limitless energy. In the comic, scrap all of that, and it's like a giant squid monster that Adrian Veidt teleports in. How does that work? What's the difference? You know what I mean? Can you explain that?
I think the comic book with the squid thing, it is on the surface it's a little more silly, but at the same time I think it's better and it makes more sense, because he not only does it to New York, but he also does it to Moscow as well, and I think that something like that would be more likely to achieve peace than just blowing up Manhattan and framing the guy who was working for the American government for it. Like, why would that stop the Russians from bombing the U.S.?
Well,
it really makes sense.
It stopped him because everybody saw this person as like the real Superman or God.
Yeah, but if he's attacking the U.S. too, why wouldn't? I mean, why would that stop the Russians from doing it?
I think the goal was so that they would all unite under the threat of Dr. Manhattan, and instead of diverting their resources to killing off another nation, it was more so we need to unite to possibly kill off this godlike being as a threat.
Yeah, but he didn't attack Russia though. That's what I'm saying. Like, that's why the squids make more sense, because in the comic he attacked Russia and
there was no reactor in Russia, because I thought in the movie they had like, what was it, 50 or 100 reactors in population zones.
I think what caused the explosion in New York was him teleporting back there from Mars, if I'm not mistaken.
In the comic?
No, in the movie.
No. See, in the movie, he teleports back and sees the aftermath of that reactor blowing up. Yeah, so in the movie,
he caught him teleporting back is what caused the explosion to happen.
I don't think so.
Because they explained it. There's like the tachyons or whatever in the air, some science mumbo jumbo.
Oh no, I thought the tachyons were part of the.
He even says I caused this.
Well, yeah, because he helped. Because he helped make the reactors. He caused it because he helped Adrian build this weapon that bombed several places around the world. Mela, don't worry, you've only missed the first hour. But welcome.
Hey, Mela.
And Mela, I'd like to have you on a panel or two if you'd want. But yeah, no.
Mela made me famous, guys.
Well, you're a big star now, kid. You're a big star. But no. In the movie, you could totally see the explosions go off first, and then Manhattan teleports to where an explosion happened, and he says, "I caused this," because he had been like fast tracking all of these reactors and shipping them all over the world, fast forwarding the process. Yeah.
And then Silk was like, "What, you did this?" He's like, "Well, it was made to look like I did this."
Yes.
Because it's his signature tech that resulted in it.
Right.
But yeah, no, I think his Dr. Manhattan saying "I caused this" is a true statement, because he views himself as a higher causal agent than the humans on Earth.
And I think the tachyon thing, the tachyon interference was partially because of the reactors that were being triggered in low energies. They affected his ability to see what Adrian was doing all along. That's why he couldn't see his future that much anymore, because there were more reactors in place. I could be wrong, though. I could be wrong.
And Adrian used, theater and propaganda to make him think he was giving cancer to people who he loved. And so that's why he isolated on Mars, because he's like, well, if I'm the cause of these people suffering, I'm just going to go to Mars, and so I think, and of course, while he's on Mars, his attention is on building a giant crystalline clock structure. Maybe not a clock necessarily, but it definitely has that symbolism to it. And of course, his dad was a watchmaker, and he is a deist figure or entity. So it speaks to the cosmic watchmaker who builds this thing and lets it go, and there's no sort of personal intervention, and there's continuity in his nature all through the film. Like we mentioned earlier, when comedian shot that pregnant Korean or whatever, or Vietnamese woman, he turns to Dr. Manhattan, who's standing right there. He's like, you could have stopped that. You could have turned my bullets. What do you say? Turn my bullets into sand, or you could have, Dr.
You could have melted the gun. You could have turned the bullets to sand, and you stood there and did nothing.
Right, you did nothing, and that speaks to this idea of like the deistic nature of his godhood, quote unquote, right? Because, like I said, he doesn't believe in free will. He thinks everything is determined. Everything would have happened as it happened, irregardless, and which is, I think, an error on his part, right? Because even at the end, when he confronts Vite in his, techno Egyptian compound in Antarctica, he's actually convinced by this guy that killing millions of people is actually good. We should just stick with it. In fact, I'm going to kill Rorschach for disagreeing. It's like,
I'm going to kill Rorschach because he's going to expose the lie. What you said leads me to another question I had for both of you. When the comedian, he's in Vietnam, right? And his slant side piece comes up and says, you gonna take care of this baby. You gonna take care of this baby. And he said, I've had enough of your sweaty shithole country. And, she stabs him, and then he shoots her. And he gives that speech to Manhattan. You could have turned the bullets to sand. You could have melted the gun. Do you think he was actually showing concern for Dr. Manhattan, or was that just a total diversion from his bad impulse control and murdering that woman?
Well, I think
I think it's
both.
just another example of his cynicism.
Yeah, I think he's doing both. He's diverting from accountability for his own behavior by putting accountability on Manhattan,
Yeah.
and at the same time, he under yeah, it's both. It's both. I
It's
lost my
both.
second thought, but it's both. Yeah.
I could agree with that. I think it's both as well. I think he did have legit concern because, I mean, he is the way he is because he's embracing the fallen shitty world. And I think also on the side, he needs someone to stop him from making the bad choices he does, or else he's just going to continue to be the bad of society.
I think his core philosophy is, well, the world's a circus. I may as well be the best clown. You know what I mean? I think that's sort of his core ethos. But interesting about Dr. Manhattan and Veidt and the government, you know, these are all sort of exploring the idea of men having power beyond their individual self, and what that looks like
and what they do with it.
So you have the government who, rather than use their power for good, they're using it for imperialism and conquering and debt and scheming and whatnot. And Veidt, he's doing the same thing, but he's sort of twisted in his own mind that he's doing it for a higher good, right? Even though he has to be incredibly immoral and deceptive in achieving that end result. And then with Dr. Manhattan, he's like hands off. Yeah, I'm a god now, but it doesn't mean I'm actually gonna like do anything. I mean,
well,
you know,
he is helping a noble cause, though. He is sort of helping Adrian under the illusion of, I'm giving the world free energy, knowing how to use the power that makes up my being.
And that brings up another aspect of what I'm talking about. So even though these men obtain great power, and Veidt is unique. So the government and Dr. Manhattan, just because they have this extreme power and ability, doesn't mean they're moral or intelligent. And with Veidt, he has the intelligence. He just doesn't have the morality. He's, you know, we could argue. Okay, we could argue that he has a personal morality, but he's definitely not operating under like a Christian objective morality.
Right.
So I think it just, once again, it speaks to this beautiful interplay and sort of same but differentness to all these characters and all these aspects of this movie. Actually, as soon as Static gets back, I gotta run to the bathroom real quick, and then if you want, I can get into my schizo notes on.
Do you want me to? I could totally leave it on like well, I don't have a be right back screen. I have a starting soon screen. Do we want to take a 3-minute break?
Here, let's take a 3-minute break. I'll be right back, and then we'll get into. I want to get into Rorschach, the origin of that name with the psychiatrist, the Swiss psychiatrist who invented the Rorschach test.
Right.
And then I want to talk about Jupiter, in the sense of Greek and Roman gods, and why I think they used that reference in connection with Silk Spectre and her mother. And then also a little bit about the owl, and of course Veidt as a pharaoh, Ozymandias. I want to get into that as well. So,
okay, yeah, go do what you gotta. I'll entertain him here till y'all get back. Yeah, you're fine. Let me see. I totally didn't set up this scene. I said I had it and I didn't. What a dummy. There we go. They'll be back. Panel needs a break. You know what I do when I gotta use the restroom? I ask someone a question, and then I turn the camera to them and just pray that they give me 50 seconds to just go piss outside real quick. But yeah, if you haven't seen it, brutal enough. I agree. Modern movies, mostly absolutely terrible. Mostly are absolutely terrible. Ooh. There we go. Let me lower the volume on that. Sorry. But we're trying to, with this movie club, just pick like the absolute gems. And it goes more so... Oh, Static, you're back. Just give me 1 sec.
I'm back.
Yeah. More recently, like, you know, it's very rare you see a good movie that compels you to even talk about it. Like, it's even worth discussion. But yeah, we've got a long list of movies we want to randomize talking about. And I think Watchmen is one of the latest made ones on there. There's a few Wes Anderson films, but use this as a sense of judgment if you're gonna watch a movie. If we're talking about it, it's probably a good movie. There's good stuff to it. So.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I'm just kidding.
Welcome back, panelists. Yeah, I was just letting them know. Yeah, we're Oh, Mela wants to know how or where do you stream movies for free? Those sites always change. I just pirate the old-fashioned way through a torrent. But I think for the sake of this panel show, if anybody wants to be a part of it, I'll set up a Telegram channel, because Telegram's Russian and they don't give a damn what you pirate. And it's got a max file upload size of 4 gigs, so yeah, I think that's what we'll do. I'll set up a Telegram channel for the movie club, and I'll just upload a copy of whatever we're going to talk about, so that way everybody has access to it. Yeah, it'll be Monday night club movie talk. I don't know. I'll make the channel. Oh, it's a working title.
Perfect title. Perfect title.
I think so. I thought I nailed it with that one.
Yeah.
Name me a better one. Oh, you can't. You can't.
Just another movie Monday.
Something about Tuesday. I don't know.
Hey, it's Till Tuesday, Voice is Scary. Am I right? Great song.
What a great song.
Stuck in my head all the time.
Okay, so I asked y'all to come up with a question or two. Who's got another question?
All right. I do have a question. I don't know. I feel like it's kind of a generic question, but which character? So we have our 4 heroes. Which character do you most identify with, and why?
Okay, I can answer this because I've ever since I watched it, and every time I watch it, I kind of sort of ask myself that same question, and it's the comedian. It's the comedian. I do bad things in life. I don't think I'm a bad person, but I make bad choices. And I'm stuck in this state of just sort of laughing at the fallen world we're in. And sometimes it feels like that's all I can do. Now, more recently, I've been coming into the Orthodox Church and everything, but in general, I mean, if something bad happens personally to you, I mean, something as small as getting nearly in an accident on the highway on the way to work, or something as big as a death in the family, you know, sometimes beyond prayer, you just got to laugh about these things. And yeah, it's the comedian. I'd like to be more like Rorschach, though, and kill pedophiles and yeah. How about you, Static?
Clearly, Dr. Manhattan. No, I'm just kidding. I would say. I'd say the comedian. No, I'd say the comedian as well. I'm a fairly cynical person. Not quite as bad as him, but yeah, probably the comedian.
Yeah. I kind of expected that because that's my answer as well. I mean,
Right.
I just you know, there's this awesome song lyric from Elijah Blue, Sharon Greg Allman's son. And he has this lyric in a song, and it says, "Laugh enough to brave another day."
Yeah.
And I think that speaks to the theme of the comedian and what he's a vehicle of, and what the creators of this character are trying to teach us or have us reflect upon. But yeah,
It's
did you guys have questions?
I just want to say real quick. I mean, obviously we picked the comedian. I mean, none of us. I don't think any of us feel like the impotent man that Night Owl is, or the all powerful godlike being that Manhattan is. But I mean, I'll say this: whenever, yeah.
No, I'm not gonna lie, man. I think I'm 50% comedian, 50% Night Owl. You know.
Okay.
I'm definitely cynical, but I also have sort of a hesitant, quiet, shelteredness going on. I do identify with other characters besides the comedian in probably equal ways, but yeah, those two are probably the ones I identify with most. And that speaks again to this theme where I think that we're not necessarily, well, you can look at things however you want, but the way I look at things is like all these characters are showing us aspects of ourselves, you know, like we all have each one of these archetypes in us, right? We just happen, you know, it just which
have a balance of all of it.
Choose? Exactly, and at the end of the day, we all have to choose a persona, right? We have to wear a mask. We have to present ourselves as I'm this, you know, sort of a law of omission. You know, like if I told you every horrible thing I did, you'd probably be like, why is this guy even on my stream right now? You know what I mean? But,
we've had those talks too. We've gone into those drudging up the past, and it's like, you remember. Or not remember, you know what I mean. I'll say this: I answered the comedian, but whenever I go to talk to a woman, I tend to tap into that Rorschach. Just I don't know why. Eating cold beans, wearing a shit-stained mask over my face, and just communicating in grunts. Come home with me.
Jokes.
Yeah, I want you. Come with me. It's like, whoa, what?
You want to go kill a pedophile?
Right. Pedophiles get the rope. It's like, whoa. Yeah. For some reason that comes out every time I'm talking to a girl. I embrace that inner Rorschach and just go straight guttural schizo paranoia. Yeah. I'm working on it, though.
Hence why I'm an incel for the last 20 years. No, I can't.
And that's why I can't find a girl. That and this long list of movies that we have to watch coming up soon. I mean, somebody had to curate this list. All right. But no, pardon me. I have to go use the bathroom. You two hold the fort, all right? I trust you.
All right, so let's hold the fort, man. I'm gonna jump into some notes I have on the characters. I haven't really explored like other reviews or analysts online. I like to keep that for after I've already exhausted my own interpretations, but or
Same
insights.
Here.
Um, but I, obviously Rorschach is a reference to the Rorschach test, right? The psychiatrist Herman Rorschach, Swiss psychiatrist, psychoanalyst, invented this test of ink blots, and you're supposed to interpret what you see in the ink blot, and that's supposed to give him something to analyze about what you're projecting from within yourself onto this medium, and which is
Isn't it
interesting,
about
right?
trauma? Past, isn't it about like representing your trauma, past trauma?
Yeah, well, yeah. There's multiple theories and approaches to it, and now that it's been around so long, there's like different schools of thought about it, different approaches. But uh, it was basically to draw out things that people aren't willing to go into detail about forthrightly, right? Because a lot of times in therapeutic session or settings with psychologists, psychiatrists, etc., if anyone's ever been in a situation in life where you're dealing with these types of people, we all know how uncomfortable it is to be like, oh yeah, well, when I was 6, this awful thing, or you know what I mean. A lot of people have a hard time just describing their thought process. So these are tools that these professionals use to uh, sort of uh, covertly peer into what it is that's going on inside you. Like if I look at an ink blot and I say, oh, that looks like a pile of dead babies. And then the next guy says, oh, that looks like a butterfly, right? Clearly the psychiatrist is going to have something to work with each of us in a different way that says something about us as people. And of course, there's people who say this is all just gobbledygook, whatnot. But so with the Rorschach test, and that's what's interesting about all these characters in this film, because that's exactly what we're doing, right? We're seeing they're comic characters. Comics are ink blots on pages. And so we're seeing these characters, we're seeing what they say, what they do, and we're projecting ourselves into them and onto them. We're judging this one, we're identifying with this one, right? So we're revealing things about ourselves as we engage with these artistic mediums, which is why I love film and art so much. I think it's a mirror to your psyche, and a lot of this stuff can be unconscious as well. It doesn't, you might resonate with something and you're like, why do I even like this? Like, this is something, I'm just being honest, I like this and it's crazy. And then if you're conscious about this and self-aware, uh, these things reveal things about ourselves to us, that maybe because we're always in our persona, we're in our daily lives, I have to show up as a presentable, nice, normal guy, right? But in reality, if we're all honest with ourselves, we're fallen. All of us have just as much garbage under the rug as anyone else, right? And so this art and the Rorschach test and things, this is just a way to sort of lift that rug a little bit and peer in and be like, okay, what's going on in here that even you might not know about yourself? You know what I mean? So Rorschach, obviously stark black and white morality, brutal methods, views his vigilante persona as his true self, which is unique, I think, because he views his civilian self as a disguise. And even in the movie, and I'm sure in the comics, when the others see him outside of his persona of Rorschach, they don't recognize him. They've never met this guy. They only know him in the mask, as the vigilante, right? And so all throughout the film, he's appearing carrying signs, and no one recognizes him. So in a way, it's sort of an inversion of what most people do. Is most people identify as their true self, and when they're around others, they're doing a persona. But for him, it's the other way around. When he's around others, he's anyway. So he sees the world in absolute good and evil. He's sort of like an outcast amongst the group as well. Like, everyone goes along to get along. There's love triangles. There's all this human relation going on. But Rorschach's sort of the outcast of the group, in some sense. Of course, they all tolerate Rorschach, and they all they care about Rorschach, but he definitely has such a stark black and white morality that
Yeah.
the other characters maybe can't identify with. You know,
It's truly binary. It's either wrong or it's right.
Right. Yeah, it's very extreme. And so the Rorschach test with the ink blots that is a projective psychological test in which subjects' perceptions of ink blots are recorded and then analyzed using psychological interpretation. This is to examine a person's personality characteristics and emotional functioning. It's employed to detect underlying thought disorders, especially in cases where patients are reluctant to describe their thinking process openly. And it's interesting, right, that Rorschach had a very traumatic childhood, and he hides behind the Rorschach test, right? Like,
yes,
you're gonna perceive me as a mirror of yourself, you know. And this is why certain characters are more tolerant of him, certain characters are more, you know. I just found that very interesting.
It's funny, Josiah just asked that question. I'm glad you dove more into it. But yeah, so much so he identified with it. He considered it his identity over Walter Kovacs. He said Walter Kovacs died when it came to that I think it's implied it's a pedophile murderer. It's sort of in Freddy Krueger gray area territory.
Interesting,
you know,
that same actor played Freddy Krueger.
I know, right? Yeah, and I thought he did a good job. I thought he did a good job as a modern Freddy.
Yeah, that's like meta. Yeah, that's interesting.
But yeah, there's that gray area with the killer where it's like, okay, it never said he was a pedophile, but let's be real, he abducted a little girl and then hid the remains and burnt some of the remains, you know. But yeah, he said Walter Kovacs died that day, and he was just Rorschach then.
Josiah's in the chat.
Josiah's in the chat. We got Josiah in the chat.
Josiah.
We got Mella. We got KLW. Brutal Enough. Moldy Apple. What's up, guys?
Moldy.
Yeah.
Hell yeah, man.
All great people. Real quick, I just want to go over, someone asked me what type of movies we're going to be reviewing. Now, funny enough, that list that I had open for several days on my computer that we kept adding to, I can't find it right now. But I've got some of them. And I mean, it was a list a lot of us compiled together. Statagage, I want to see what kind of movies you want to talk about too. But here's some of the ones I've got, and here's what's on the randomizer for next week. Now, I'm not going to hit it yet, but on the randomizer for next week, I've got One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, Jacob's Ladder, Donnie Darko, Big Lebowski, Birdman from 2014, not a movie about a superhero. Kinda. Blue Velvet, Cool Hand Luke, Punch Drunk Love, Boxing Helena, Fight Club, Nocturnal Animals, The Deer Hunter, and Eraserhead. So, I think it's a decent list.
Bad start.
We'll build off of that, and then we'll subtract whatever we've already done. But, yeah, I'm sure that document's somewhere on my computer. I'm just not sure where it's saved to. But it was a lot. We have a much.
I refuse to watch any Adam Sandler movies. So
okay, but here's the thing: it's not an Adam Sandler movie. It's just a movie he happens to star in. He didn't write the movie at all.
Which one? Which one?
Punch Drunk Love.
Punch Drunk Love.
Oh no! Yeah, I like that movie.
It's like the only movie that he's been in that he didn't write or direct at all. He just plays a character.
That's by the same guy who did There Will Be Blood, right? Something Watson.
Paul Thomas Anderson. Yep.
Paul Thomas Anderson. Yeah, that's it.
Old PTA. Yeah, Mella, Deer Hunter, incredible movie.
Movies.
Yeah, you said, Deer Hunter, man. Wow.
Wait, you said what about Wes Anderson?
I thought you said you had some Wes Anderson.
I did. I mentioned Grand Budapest Hotel. Oh, did I not put that on there?
Sorry.
Here we go. New option. Grand Budapest Hotel.
Well, yeah, if you ever find that list, I know for a fact because I was there when we made it. There was a lot of great stuff on that list.
I'm remembering one now, the Darjeeling Limited. That's totally a movie worth talking about. 'Cause everybody sort of sees that, and I remember most of my friends saw it, and they were like, what a stupid, pointless movie. And I'm like, I thought it was actually a really good introspective look at how three brothers handle the loss of their father that they cared about, but don't really care to show that they cared about their father. But yeah, Wes Anderson, yeah, there's going to be some Wes Anderson movies on the list. Probably throw the Royal Tenenbaums on that list as well. I know Suzanne's going to be excited for that one. But, all right. Other questions. Do we have other questions, or... Static, you got another one?
What do you guys think the points of the animated segments were?
Oh, okay, so we're talking about... Are you talking about the scenes with Gerard Butler, where...
No, the pirate guy.
Yeah, Gerard Butler plays the
okay.
the sailor guy.
Okay, yeah.
I have not seen that version. So
that's part of the director's cut. And I'm not saying this as like a jab or a scolding or anything. I specifically wanted to talk about the ultimate cut because I've seen the director's cut and I've seen the Gerard Butler parts a couple times, and I'm going to be honest, man, it's hard for me to pay attention to that. It just feels like it totally takes away from the main story, unless there's something I'm missing with it.
I think it kind of parallels aspects of like all the characters.
Okay. How so?
Like committing something evil because you think that it's for the greater good.
Oh, damn. See, I watched it through a shallow lens. I was so originally I had seen like the theatrical cut that I pirated I don't know, like 6 or 7 times. And then when I got a new hard drive and I wanted to watch this movie again, I think that's when I found the ultimate cut that didn't have the Gerard Butler scenes, but it still had a bunch extra, like Hollis Mason's death, stuff like that gets further elaborated on. But I don't remember how, but I stumbled upon it was the director's cut that had the Gerard Butler sideline. So for those of you who haven't seen it, there's this whole side plot line that's added with this mulatto kid in New York reading a comic book at a newsstand, and it follows Gerard Butler as a sailor or a pirate, I can't remember, and I believe pretty much everyone dies except for Gerard Butler, and it turns out like his crew becomes undead and they're focused on rebuilding the ship, right?
No, sort of. They're attacked by this like they're like zombie pirates or something basically, and they kill his entire crew. And he is shipwrecked, and he uses his crew's dead bodies to make a raft to sail back home and warn his town that this zombie pirate ship is coming. And he, when he gets back to town, he thinks that they're there, and he sneaks into his house and thinks he's being attacked by one of them. And he starts beating it to a bloody pulp, and he kind of wakes up out of his haze and realizes that he's beating his own wife, and his children are there watching it happen.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
Damn. Okay, so it's a little deeper than than I was paying attention.
It sounds like he killed his crew. He floated on their bodies to shore, and then he started wreaking more havoc on the mainland. Like, it sounds like a psychotic break hallucination type deal.
Right. Were there ever actually any zombies, or did he kill his crew?
Right.
Is that ever?
Right.
Yeah, I mean they don't really say for sure.
Oh, here we go. Josiah has another question. He says, if saving the world requires a blatant lie, does that make the action heroic or evil of an intrinsic evil being used to combat an evil? Oh,
I'll go
yeah.
first. It's evil for any man to think it's his responsibility or even available to him to save the world. You know, death to the world would be my motto, because that's God's job, right? No man is ever going to scheme enough, earn enough money, or have enough power to, or even enough virtue or morality or anything to implement anything large scale that's going to be quote unquote better. I think it's pure delusion to think it's even a possibility. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I think it's a spiritual delusion, pretty much. And the thing that I like, that it's kind of parallel to the sailor in the animated part, but the difference is in the end, the sailor kind of recognizes that he became the monster, and Ozymandias doesn't really fully realize that.
Yeah,
Right.
He still thinks he's a hero.
I think, what kind of nerve do you have to think that you're going to change the world, you're going to save the world, and also, I mean, maybe an atheistic me would have thought that, yeah, it's a necessary sacrifice to get rid of a few million to save the other 99% of the world and unite them, but it's built on a lie, and it's not good.
Well, and this is utilitarianism. This is the trolley quandary, right? This is the pragmatic utilitarian. Let's boil down the numbers. Let's cook the numbers down. Let's quantity. They're dealing with quantity, not quality. They're dealing with material achievement and ends versus spiritual, and that's why, yeah, I think it's a totally deluded pursuit to think it's even worth considering, honestly. Like, of course, in day-to-day life, one-on-one with family and friends, like, hey, if my friend has a broke down car, I'll go pick them up, I'll go give them a jump start, whatever, right? Like, of course, we want to make sacrifices for good, but when it comes to I'm going to break a commandment, murder, on a mass scale for my mathematical projection that it's going to be better after I do this act, that right there, that's, even if it was true, it's still evil. It's still not good. So
Ken brings up a good point.
It's kind of how much can you do until you become what you're fighting against.
Right.
Yeah. That's a great point.
It's one of those things that's not black and white.
Yeah.
That issue is not black and white. Yeah. That's a hard one to dissect and make a hard stance on, because Ken brings up a good point in chat. He says a Georgian saint once lied about a shortcut so that he could have time to alert a village of an attack before the Turks arrived. Sure, but he also didn't... That's smaller scale, though. Not arguing, but that's smaller scale. He didn't, sacrifice millions of people so that he could save billions. But again, that touches on it's built on a lie. So is it good or bad? Now,
no, that makes sense, because look at Veidt's idea, right? Like, what what proof or evidence does he have that by killing millions, billions will be saved?
Right.
He doesn't know. This is assumption based.
Exactly. This is
biased assumption.
he assumed that doing that the plan would work. What would happen if the plan backfired? Right. Then he just murdered millions of people worldwide.
Right.
Josiah
like, Static was saying.
Yeah.
Just real quick, just
You're
like
good.
Static was sort of alluding to with the difference in the comic where Moscow was also a target. Who's to say that he doesn't do this plan? He bombs New York or whatever he did in the film, and then Russia comes in and attacks anyway. Like, he's not a clairvoyant. Like, okay, he's smart, but he's not God. He's not clairvoyant. So, yeah. Anyway, that's just the one tidbit I wanted to say.
Whew, that was a quick piss. Okay. So Josiah asks another question. He says, if Dr. Manhattan can see time all at once, is he responsible for anything he allows to happen? Now, just to dissect that question, I don't think he can see time all at once. He can see his own time all at once. So he's not actually God. He's not omniscient. He just sees his timeline differently because of tachyons or some sort of weird sci-fi crap.
Well, Static, are there any references in the comic that speak to his ability for seeing all of time, or no?
I don't remember exactly, but I think it was basically the same as it was in the movie.
Okay.
Just his own time.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. Observing something or having knowledge of something, I don't think puts you in a position of responsibility. That alone, you know what I mean? That alone, I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong on that. Because I don't know. In my head right now, in real time, I can think of examples where if I knew something and I knew it would be proper to act upon it or intervene, that is the right thing to do. But I can't comprehend it on like a global scale. I can only comprehend it on like a, if you knew that your sister was being beat by her husband or something, right? You should definitely show up to that and deal with that, right? But when it comes to like some billionaire scheming to murder millions, well, yeah, I don't know, man. I think there is some culpability. Like if you do have that capacity, and I mean, the guy can literally teleport. I mean, he can literally explode,
and he could make multiple beings of himself too. Yeah, he can make multiple copies of himself.
Yeah. No, yeah. So yeah, that was a good question and a nice thought experiment. I think I'll change my initial answer. Yeah, he is responsible in a way because he's been put in a position to do something and he didn't. So
yeah. Josiah clarified. He said yes, but does his knowledge of his own future affect the outcome? Now that's interesting. Maybe not according to him because he's never intervened on his own awareness. He's never thought to intervene on his own awareness.
Right.
Know what I mean?
He has like this weird Star Trek approach, right? Like don't intervene in evolving species type deal, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's still a human being, right? They see him as God. Some people on the world see him as God, or Superman or whatever, but he's still a human being and he still has flaws.
Well, and it's hard for us to relate to him because we don't know what he knows. We don't know what he's seen and what he's privy to and how he views maybe he understands that bodily death means nothing in the greater scheme. Therefore, why would I intervene? These souls or these people will just reincarnate, or whatever it is that he has knowledge of as being this like deified type guy, whatever.
I mean, he could be an example of why we are the way we are as people and why we shouldn't try to achieve a godlike state, because he still has a human mind and he's not able to perceive the stuff that he perceives correctly. I don't know. I'm getting a little off in the weeds about it. But...
And even so, this speaks to care. Care is at the core of everything. Your perception, your value hierarchy, what you love, what you hate, it all boils down to what you care about. And we see how Dr. Manhattan slowly is losing his care for Earth and people.
Or he thinks he is. Or he thinks he's losing that.
Right. Inspector was kind of his anchor to that, in a way.
I have an important quote. I have an important quote, right? And I wrote it under my Dr. Manhattan notes. And it's from the scene where Night Owl, Dan Dreiberg, so Night Owl 2, and Silk Spectre, Laurie Jupiter 2, are eating dinner. And she's talking about how he just seems more and more disconnected with reality, and he's just pretending that he cares. And Dan says, if he's pretending, then that means he cares. Because why would he even pretend to care about Laurie if he didn't care?
Pretty good. That's good.
Oh, yeah. I was waiting for you to say that one. Not really.
Yeah.
I was hoping it would come up. It's in
my note. It's somewhere in my notes. No.
I didn't really make any notes, but I did make one note, and Josiah's last question that he just asked kind of applies to it. Josiah said yes, or sorry, no. What does Watchmen tell Orthodox about what happens when you try to play God? And I think it's I think there's more to it than that. It's more I think that each character is searching for something that ultimately would point towards God, but they each pursue that apart from God.
Yeah,
right.
That's a good question.
Dr. Manhattan seeks transcendence. Rorschach seeks absolute truth. Night Owl seeks meaning. Spectre seeks love. Comedian seeks a reason to not despair. Ozymandias seeks salvation of the world.
Yeah. Self-importance, really.
It's, yeah.
Because it's I believe, so there's the scene when they're at the funeral, right? And I pointed this out last night when we were watching it in the Discord. There's the scene at the funeral, comedian's funeral, where everybody has their own flashback, their own prominent memory of the comedian. And Adrian Veidt's memory of the comedian was when they assembled the Watchmen. It was the first assembly of the Watchmen. It was the recreation of the Minutemen from the 40s. And the comedians just drinking and laughing at these people. And their ideas that they're going to change the world by fighting some street crime. And Adrian Veidt's got this map on display. And the comedian takes a lighter to it and just burns it. And as he walks away, Veidt just sort of has this side eye, like, and I think that's what truly spawned Adrian Veidt's plan to sacrifice millions to save billions. Was his challenge from the comedian saying how I forget the exact quote, but it was something along the lines, or who do you think you are to be able to fix all the world's problems? How small do you think these problems are of the world that you could fix them? And I think that was what turned the gears in Adrian Veidt's mind to start coming up with the groundwork for this plan.
Yep. And he also said, mankind's been trying to kill each other off since the beginning of time. Now we just have the means to do it. And I think that clicked in Veidt's mind that you're right. We do have the means. And maybe if we make a big enough blow, that'll shake people up into correction, right? Because that's ultimately what playing God means, right? God stops and corrects. That's what God does in a person's life. He stops you and corrects you. He lets so much cosmic friction of your soul through sin occur that you have no choice but to lay there defeated and beg him for mercy, right? And so Veidt is sort of embodying that that approach in his own human way, right? Like if I deal a big enough shock, maybe these people will stop and correct, but interesting to what Static was saying about the characters and how they're all sort of on their own approach, and none of them it made me think of the paradox almost of we become victorious through submission. What a paradox. Humility and repentance. It's so counterintuitive to our human nature that humbling yourself and repenting would be the ultimate victory. Like, it just makes no sense, right? To our human mind. And I thought that was an interesting tidbit that you shared based on Josiah's question.
Yeah. Josiah has another question, and for those of you watching, I haven't seen the viewer count or anything. I assume we got watchers. I hope.
200.
Oh, okay. No big deal then. Josiah was supposed to be part of this panel. He had something happen. He had an issue, personal issue. Guys, if you could pray for Josiah. Let's pray for him. Hopefully he can be here for another one. But Josiah asks another question. Who lied? Who didn't? Did any who are seen as savior lie? What can we determine about the overall message of the liars, as well as one who did not lie? So I'm going to answer this one first. This kind of goes back to the answer of my question, who's the villain? And it's human nature, because every one of these characters was a liar in some way or another.
Yeah.
Every single one of them. You've got the comedian and Sally Jupiter living the lie that they didn't love each other, that, Lori wasn't their kid. You've got Rorschach living the lie of his own identity. You've got Dan Dreiber, the second Night Owl, living the lie of, I did the right thing by hanging up my mask and complying and not standing for what I believe in. Every one of them's a liar. All of them lied. Yeah. Including Dr. Manhattan. And I can't think of the big one. I had something I was working on in my head. It's not there anymore. But if I could...
That was a perv anyway.
Dr. Manhattan? Yeah, flashing blue dong everywhere. What are you thinking? And he knew right from wrong, too, because when he goes on TV, he dresses up in a suit. But in reality, this freak is just flashing glowy blue dong everywhere. Yeah. Unbelievable.
There's like
hairless, too.
Hairless blue dong.
Yeah.
How do you...
Shoulder maxing, body waxing, maxing.
Yeah.
He was a very vain, egotistical man,
Right. He didn't look like that when he was the scientist as a human. He didn't look like that before the experiment. What a sick freak. Jason, the question: who lied? Who didn't? Did any who are seen as savior lie?
I kind of agree with you. I mean, part of me wants to say Rorschach didn't lie because he was just so pathological in his
Sure. Yeah.
his worldview and approach. Like, I mean, you know, that I don't know. The question feels ambiguous to me because I think lie. It might be a subjective analysis on what is a lie, what is not. Still a great question. It's making me think, but I mean, I think these characters were true to their nature. I think we saw the things they hid from others. It doesn't necessarily mean they were lying. I mean, maybe a lie by omission.
Yeah.
But I mean, when you go to the McDonald's and you order a burger, you say, "Oh, by the way, I used to be a drug addict." No, like, we're constantly omitting
yourself.
things.
You can lie to yourself though, and they're all lying to themselves for sure.
Okay,
Right.
See, now that's a great insight. That makes me think of it on a whole nother level. I agree with that 100%. Yes.
Yeah. These are all people that lied to themselves. Now, like you said, Jason,
really
Rorschach's is a little tricky because he was more just crazy. I don't think he thought he was lying. I think he really thought that his shit-stained underwear of a mask was actually his face, and Walter Kovacs was the lie. That's a good question, though. Good question, Josiah.
Yeah. Well, even the fact that these people operate under like an alter ego persona or whatever, I mean, you could say that's a lie as well. I mean, these people are they're literally LARPing, right? They're
wearing masks,
live action role playing as other people. So yeah. No, that was a great question.
Fantastic question, Josiah. Hopefully, you can make it next week for the movie panel. Guys, did you have anything else to throw in?
Yeah, I do.
Excellent.
So I wanted to talk about Vite and the Pharaoh connections.
Excellent.
And then also a little bit on Silver Spectre and Jupiter, and Vite and his pyramid idea. So I'm gonna read from my notes quick. The word pharaonic, like pharaonic, refers to anything belonging or relating to pharaohs or ancient Egyptian civilization, describes monumental proportions, tyrannical or oppressive rule, or ancient artifacts in historical eras. Overwhelmingly large, luxurious, or grand. Also could mean cruelly severe. And so all these descriptions of pharaonic apply to Vite, which should be obvious, right? Because there's like 1,000 references to pharaohs in Egypt, Ozymandias, all that with Vite. So that makes sense that he would view himself as sort of a personification of these descriptors or characteristics. And I thought it was interesting because, overwhelmingly large or grand. And then at the end, when we see the confrontation between the heroes and Vite, Dr. Manhattan, after he's put in the discombobulator or whatever, and then he reappears as like a massive giant towering over this massive structure that Vite has built himself. It's kind of like a FU. You think you're grand? Do you think you're overwhelmingly large? Check this out.
Another note showing Dr. Manhattan is more human than he lets on. Yeah,
exactly. Yes. He's like, I'm gonna check this little man here who thinks he's so smart, and then on Vite's desk he has several books, and one of them is Ramses II, which is also a reference to Ozymandias. And so Ramses II was an Egyptian pharaoh, and he was famous for massive building projects, massive statues of himself, expansive temple complexes, And you look at Vight's lair; it's like a massive temple complex. He has massive statues, right? So all the themes are there. And then Ramses also established the oldest recorded peace treaty in history in 1258 BC, and that is Vight's idealistic goal to create world peace, right?
Yeah.
And so also Ramses was known for military expansion, keeping the empire at the peak of its power. He fathered over 100 children with hundreds of wives and concubines. He lived into his 90s, and he was a master propagandist. And so the military expansion and the propagandist aspects are present in Veidt as well, because he's sort of this NGO billionaire guy who's clearly also working with government, right?
Right.
And the military expansion, the imperialism of the U.S. government. You know, we're going into Vietnam. We're at war with all these countries. We're expanding the empire. We're defending the empire, right? And he's a master propagandist because he employed actors and interviewers to do his psyop on Dr. Manhattan to make him think that he's giving people cancer on live TV.
Yes.
And when he's being interviewed in his office, he stages that assassin that he takes out regarding the oil executives, because he's trying to create free energy. And the oil execs are there saying, we can't just cut the world off of oil cold turkey, blah, blah, blah. So he's master propagandist, just like Ramses. And then Ozymandias is the title of a poem from 1817 by Percy Shelley. And this poem, the gist of it is basically it's a critique of tyranny and imperial ambition. And it's a famous sonnet about the transience of power, using the ruins of a colossal statue of the Egyptian pharaoh Ramses II in the desert to illustrate how even the mightiest rulers and their empires eventually crumble, leaving only dust and ironic inscription of their former glory. And it shows that nature and time ultimately overcome all human power and ambition. And I thought that was also interesting because the reference to time, because Manhattan, the son of a watchmaker, he's on Mars building a giant clockwork, and he views time as unchangeable in some regard, right? And so Manhattan embodies sort of this time aspect that is a foil to the plans of the Ramses archetype. So I thought that fit very well in the story, because that's what happens. And then last note on Veidt is his pyramid logo. His personal symbol / corporate logo that he uses for all of his companies. He's a globalist, so he has all these like worldwide companies, and it's a purple pyramid. So it's, you know,
yes.
To me, when I see a specific color, you know, if you're gonna create a piece of art, you could choose any color, right? But they chose purple, so there must be a reason, right?
Right.
And so the pyramid as a symbol represents the fusion of spiritual mastery and higher consciousness. And he's known as the world's smartest man, right? So he's like this high conscious guy, right? And also the Egyptian connection is obvious to the pyramids. But so the base, the wide base, that's the grounded physical reality, and the four angled sides reaching a single apex. That's the upward journey of the soul to converge of all things into a single point of truth. And it's interesting because we see in the storyline, we have 6 heroes initially. The comedians killed off. So now we have 4 heroes against the 1. Veidt at the top and the 4 at the bottom. And they come to an apex in the confrontation at the end, right? So it's like a perfect pyramidal structure in the storyline itself, which I thought was interesting. So also on the color purple, this is associated with the crown, like royalty. You know, all the royals, they had like rare purple dye for their garments, royal garments. You had to be very wealthy or powerful to acquire purple dye in ancient world. It's also associated with the crown chakra, woo woo, whatever. But that also speaks to high consciousness, right? The crown chakra. So the energy center of spiritual awakening, divine connection, intuition, and inner wisdom. Purple is the color of royalty, kings, enlightenment, and psychic vision. And so all these tropes are embedded in these little side notes attached to this character that all fit and speak to the greater themes, right? And I found that very interesting, and I just feel like a lot of that kind of stuff gets overlooked or dismissed by a lot of people when they're analyzing film. They think, oh, it's a purple pyramid, so what, whatever. But it's like, no, there's reasons it's a purple pyramid, and let's look into that because it's going to speak to the guy who uses that as his emblem, right?
Right, right.
But do you guys have any insights? Otherwise, I'll just jump into Jupiter.
I think all that stuff kind of ties into the dilemma Crowleyan views of the
Absolutely.
guy who created the comic.
Absolutely.
I think he even mentioned in an interview that he reached a certain point with his art where he felt like he couldn't get any better, and so he did some like Aleister Crowley occultism rituals to get better at art, and believe that it helped him do that.
Wow.
But yeah, that's all. Go ahead, Jason.
Yeah, I'm not familiar with Alan Moore and his lore or whatnot, but I did know that he is an occultist, and it makes sense to me that in works like this, and it's similar with David Lynch, honestly, especially Twin Peaks.
Oh boy.
Aleister Crowley. Don't worry.
I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I love Twin Peaks.
With Aleister Crowley, his contribution to occult thinking and esoteric thought was condensing all systems into one system. So he had a system where this planet represents this color, represents this number, represents this Hebrew letter. Like all the systems were boiled down to this one streamline, universal esoteric. So if you understand that system, you can sort of infinitely navigate through all symbolic connections of everything, all language, all thought, all archetype, everything. And so it makes sense to me that in these creative works that are embedding rich multi-layers of this type of esoterica, that they would be students or fans of Crowley. I know a lot of us know Crowley as just like a scumbag Satan creeper, which is true, but he did streamline esoteric systems in a way for a creative person to it would be a rich launch pad if you were trying to layer and embed symbolism. You'd probably naturally go to his material because there is a lot of stuff there. But anyway, I'm not gonna be an apologist for Aleister Crowley, obviously.
Yeah.
I'll say a couple things about Jupiter. So Silk Spectre, the mom, Sally, she's known as Miss Jupiter.
You're roboting. And
Am I good? I'm roboting.
yeah. Try to talk now.
Is it good now?
Yeah. You're
Sounds good to me.
All right, cool. So I thought it was interesting, the Miss Jupiter reference, because it immediately made me think of esoterica and Jupiter and planetary connections with energies and Carl Jung thinks of these things as sort of psychological archetypes. Alchemists also draw on planets and things as representations of energies of consciousness, etc. Right? And so I noticed there's a scene where Miss Jupiter's pinup girl is on a plane that just dropped a bomb in the film, and Jupiter is the Roman god Jupiter, but it's the Greek equivalent. So the Romans and the Greeks, they had their own pantheons, but all of the gods are equivalents of one another. They shared the same pantheon. They just had different names
Right.
for the gods. So Jupiter is Zeus in Greek, and Jupiter represents the sky. And so you have this Miss Jupiter pinup on a plane, right in the sky, right? And Zeus, who throws thunder down from the sky or whatever, right? So dropping the bomb from the plane, they're sort of synchronizing these mythologies into this character. And I thought, oh, that's interesting. So Jupiter in the Greek tradition is brothers with Neptune and Pluto. Or I'm sorry, in the Roman tradition, brothers with Neptune and Pluto. In the Greek tradition, it wouldn't be Jupiter, Neptune, and Pluto. It'd be Zeus, Poseidon, and Hades. So Zeus is brothers with Poseidon and Hades, and each presided over one of three realms of the universe. Poseidon over the water, Hades over the fire, and Zeus over the sky. And when you look at Carl Jung and his interpretation of this, he views Poseidon or water as feminine, unconscious instincts. He views Hades as masculine, fire, the shadow, collective consciousness. And then with Poseidon and Hades, we're dealing with water and fire. So you have red and blue in the color spectrum. And that's the masculine and feminine, the conscious, unconscious, right? And then you could even look at like the DC monument, right? We have this huge Egyptian obelisk phallus, and then we have this reflecting pool in front of it. So the water of the pool, that's the female unconscious Poseidon, and the phallus is the conscious masculine fire, right? So this esoteric symbolism is not obscure in any way. I mean, it's literally our government layout. I mean, so plenty of people are privy to this esoteric nerd symbolism. So Poseidon, raw primal emotions, instincts, and the chaos of the unconscious mind that can flood conscious awareness, embodies the dynamic moving energy of the psyche. And Hades, lord of the underworld, Hades governs the deep, hidden, repressed layers of the mind. His realm is not just death, but the fertile darkness where transformation and rebirth occur. And now I'm bringing up Poseidon and Hades in relation to Jupiter because her daughter, Lori, Silk Spectre 2, she is the feminine, and the Hades aspect is Night Owl. He's the masculine, right? And she comes into his life. She floods back into his life. She's a dynamic, moving energy, and then you have Hades, who's sort of hidden and repressed, right? That's the nature of these characters, right? So we're seeing this alchemical marriage between Poseidon and Hades occurring with them, because as we know, they make love inside of the Archimedes ship, which looks like a human brain.
Yes.
So we're seeing all the symbolism of this is one human psyche experiencing an alchemical marriage of masculine, feminine, subconscious, unconscious, whatever, right? Or conscious and subconscious, masculine, feminine. And I found it interesting that when Silk first goes into the Archimedes ship, she's pushing buttons, not knowing what they do. And she pushes a button and it shoots a big fireball out of it. And she's like, oh, and the owl has to come in and put out the fire, right? And then immediately after that, they go on a mission and they put out a fire with water. So the Poseidon Hades, dynamics here are just one after the other. There's a series of these symbols, right? And then after they go on this putting out the fire with the water mission and saving little kids or whatever, they make love in the ship, and the moon is the only visible thing outside the window, and you see inside the ship there's like a radar map of the ship itself on a screen, and it looks just like a cranial cavity with eyes. And when you look at the ship Archimedes, it looks like a brain with two eyes, right? And so
it's brain shaped.
This is a psyche, right? So this is psyche symbolism that we're experiencing, right? So what else was I gonna say? They by them coming together, they're in this alchemical marriage, if you will, the psychological marriage of these two dynamic or different aspects, and they reignite each other into a new a renewal, and that's what it says with Hades. It's not just death; it's a fertile darkness where transformation and rebirth occur. So obviously, lovemaking is an act of conceiving a child, which will lead to giving birth, literally. But their characters, their attitudes, their energy, they're reinvigorated. They're active again. Now they're breaking into the prison to break out Rorschach. They're back on.
They're taking action again.
Exactly. So these two chemical elements that were sort of wallowing in environments that weren't serving them have now united and created this dynamic energy, right? So on the night owl, that's what I had to say about Jupiter. If you guys have thoughts, let me know. Otherwise, I'll jump into the owl.
Jump into the owl.
Yeah. All right. So the night owl, the owl, and I learned this when I was doing my analysis for Twin Peaks, because the owls are not what they seem, whatever.
Yeah.
The owl is like a bridge between the conscious known world and the mysterious unknown parts of our deep psyche. Because of their nocturnal state, owls represent the instinctual, unmapped regions of the mind. Encountering an owl symbolizes an invitation to look inward at repressed emotions, dreams, or hidden desires. Owls represent wisdom and discernment, the wholeness of your deepest, truest nature that watches, guides, and understands both the light and the shadow aspects of your being. The ship itself, the night owl ship, is called Archimedes. And Archimedes is a famous Greek mathematician who invented the Archimedes death ray, which is basically a giant glass lens that you would tilt and direct sunlight into like a flaming ray,
right,
that they used to burn Roman ships as the Romans were trying to invade. And it's interesting that when Spectre first got on his ship and was messing around, she hits the button for the flaming death ray, right? So she's reigniting, literally reigniting Night Owl into his nature, into his character,
stoking his flame.
And remember that line, we discussed it before, but that line Rorschach said, she spread her legs and it gave you your legs, or whatever.
Yeah.
I forget what he said. But
yeah.
And it's that is so true. And it's so funny because that whole dynamic of her coming into his life and reigniting this masculine nature in himself, right? Let's be honest, he was an emasculated guy. He was aloof. He was defeated. He was sort of just out of the game, right? But she comes back in and she reinvigorates him. Now he's a man again, in the truest sense. And it makes me think of The Big Lebowski, how the feminist artist sort of weasels her way into the dude's life. This guy is aloof. He could give a shit about anything, right? He's living in squalor. His only pleasures in life are bowling and CCR and whale cassettes and White Russians, right? He has no kids, no responsibility. He has nothing to live for, nothing to care about. So he just indulges simple pleasures, right? and then this feminist artist comes into his life. It's intense, it's crazy, it's wild, and they coitus. They have coitus.
Yes, and
then,
it gives him drive. It gives him a reason.
Yes, now he has something worth fighting for. Now he has something worth living for. And immediately he goes outside and he confronts the guy who's been tailing him in the car, and he confronts the rich guy in the wheelchair. There's all these moments where, like, as soon as that occurrence happens, that masculine and feminine interaction that sparks this energy, I just think it's a beautiful parallel to what we see in those things. And it's so funny too, because for anyone who's seen both these films, in Watchmen, the beginning collage of scenes, we have Bob Dylan playing, and then in the Big Lebowski, we also have Bob Dylan playing the song "Man and Me," which is the lyrics. It took a woman of your kind to find the man in me. And I just think that they're speaking to the same sort of trope, right? That's why I wanted to bring it up. But anyway, you guys have any thoughts? Or
Static Age, anything before we take a brief intermission, bring Josiah on, and then we're going to close it out?
No, let's get Josiah in here.
Okay, guys. To those watching, we will be right back. I know it says starting soon, but don't worry. We'll be right back. Oh, hold on. Oh, we'll be right back. All right, let's add him.
Josiah, you got some hot takes?
He's got some. He's been loving what you're saying. All right, he's added to the call.
Hey, bro.
Hey, Josiah. Give me just 1 second.
Oh, Jason, I've been loving what you're saying, man.
Oh, hold on 1 sec. 1 sec. Because I'm, I
gotta get this wheel begin soon. Volume down.
I gotta refigure everybody's input real quick. Hold on. Let's see.
Yep. Okay.
Just give me 2 seconds, brother. All right, let's see.
All right. How are you, Static?
Doing good, Josiah. Thanks. How are you?
Okay.
Is everything all right? I know you had some issues earlier. Why you couldn't? Maybe you can't hear me.
Josiah, can you hear him?
Awesome. Good. Yeah, we got family stuff going on, but we got it taken care of. I'm now back and ready to go. So, thanks for asking. I can.
Good.
Oh, he's lagging a little behind. I don't know if that's me.
Yeah.
The fault of my connection. There is a bit of a delay. That's fine. We'll find a way to work with it. This doesn't look exactly great, but it'll work. There we go. Okay, we're back. Those are not the right names. Everything shifted around. Everything shifted around, but it's going to work. It's going to work great. Josiah's got a bit of a delay, but hopefully it'll catch up. We're going to work with it. Josiah, I know you've been taking some notes on the show. I'm sorry, on the movie. And Josiah, how do you want to... I'll let you handle how you want to approach, because you've been listening for a while.
Love it.
Give him a second, guys.
Yep. So yeah, yeah. So my big thing is that we always ask like, what is? We look for like a Christ figure in a story like this, and the thing is that Alan Moore is an atheist, and so he definitely has been outspoken against religion. And so how could we look to someone like an Alan Moore to say, okay, is there a Christ figure in Watchmen? But yet, okay, besides Ozymandias and Rorschach and all the other kind of, I would say, literary and psychological references that are in there, Watchmen clearly is a nod to the notion of Watchmen that's in the Bible, which is actually used 47 times between Isaiah and Jeremiah, Habakkuk, and Matthew and others. And all of them are places in which we have the dichotomy between our human brokenness and reaching towards the divine. I really truly believe there's always something in an atheist that deep down recognizes that we are made in the image and likeness of God and is absolutely denying it. So I see so many examples in literature through the ages of atheists getting something really spiritually correct that they don't even know they're getting correct. And I look at Watchmen as one of those. And so my argument tonight is going to be, why are we looking for a Christ figure in a story where really this is really about the apostles? And I'm going to talk, although there's not 12, but the apostles all come through our blessed Lord with recognizing somehow the divine spark within them, but also dealing with something incredibly broken within them. And every single one of the apostles had something very broken about them. And so if we look at like, you know, the notes that I took were, as I was thinking about this, when I was looking at Ezekiel chapter 3, that was when God first appointed the watchmen to warn Israel against judgment and the sentinel on the wall. But what it showed was that their hubris led also to their downfall and their failures, even though there was a way of seeking God's divine work in their life. There was also a way that their downfall led, or that their hubris led to their downfall. There's also that kind of a theme of sacrifice and martyrdom. Peter and Paul and others endured betrayal, suffering, death. Their testimony, of course, Rorschach's unyielding integrity leads to his doom, while Ozymandias' greater good sacrifice twists kind of the utilitarian ethics against Christ's voluntary redemptive sacrifice. So not an easy redemption arc in Watchmen. And so all this, I look at them all as there's something in them that is pointing towards God, but then there's something in them really broken. Even Rorschach, you know, and even those that we would identify as like, oh, this is the Christ figure. Why do we define the Christ figure? We find ourselves, people who are broken, pointing towards God and want to find God, but we have these compulsions in our lives that are not necessarily keeping us to Him. So anyway, guys, does that make sense?
It does make sense.
Yeah, that was excellent. Yeah, I agree.
Who do you think, Josiah? I got a question for you, and hopefully that delay picks back up. Who do you think is the closest to being the best Christian figure out of all the characters in The Watchmen? He's got a delay, everybody. He'll catch up.
Mm-hmm. Who would we say would be the best Christian figure of the apostles?
Oof. Yeah, with this delay, you really spinned it back real quick. I didn't expect that.
Question, and I raise you double or nothing.
Oh man,
It's funny.
Jason, you go ahead.
Oh man, dude. Goodness. I know I've briefly touched on discussions of the apostles with you in other venues, Josiah, and I have to stick with what I've already said. I think that all 12 represent one whole. All is similar to the characters in the Watchmen. We contain within us a Peter, a Paul, a Thomas, a Matthew, etc. And so there's moments in our lives where we literally are one of these characters. And so to me, I can't help but just look at it as like a meta encapsulation of a broader like archetypal description of the individual. I mean, if I was to make a choice, that'd be very hard for me. I would have to seriously contemplate which one I would find most Christ-like, because we would also have to define what we mean by most Christ-like, because they're all Christ-like, as all humans can be and often are. That's a fascinating question, but yeah, I'm gonna have to give you a kind of a generic response and say I think all of them.
And Josiah, your turn. Answer my question. Not with a question. All right? Come on. I know you've been waiting to talk about this. Give him a second. It's like a 20-second delay.
So no, my whole thing is like I believe that I believe that the Watchmen, I mean, exactly what Jason said. I think that the Watchmen represents the broken and the broken in us, and that which also is pointing towards the divine. So I asked that question specifically because it's like there's something in all the Watchmen that it has truth in it, and also very evil and broken, and that's what we are. And that's why we need a spiritual hospital of our Orthodox faith.
Yes. I agree. Static? Comment?
Yeah, I don't know. I think any parallels to the apostles is accidental. Definitely not what the writer intended, because he was an occultist weirdo.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, I kind of touched on it. Like, they're all kind of seeking something that would point to God, but they are not seeking God. They're, kind of their own interests, really.
Right.
Putting themselves above God.
If God was in this world, it would be plain as day the path that they need to,
Right.
Yeah.
And there is a lot of religious symbolism. Like, it's, we talked about the Last Supper sequence and stuff, but I think that was more just like ironic and not actually, a religious statement.
Yeah. No, absolutely. Yeah, it was more focused on the politics than obviously anything religious. But okay, Josiah, next point. I know you got some stuff. I know you got stuff to hash out. We're approaching the end. The goal for these shows, I think we should aim for about like a 2-hour show. But we're extending it for you, brother. All right?
Uh-huh. No. That was I got all mine in.
Oh. Oh, you were putting them in the chat and everything. Okay. Well, awesome. Then let me do this. So I'm going to duplicate this real quick. And I'm going to create... Let's see. Let's remove that. Nope. Keep that. Sorry, guys. This is a work in progress. We're going to have it much more organized the next time. So I've got our randomizer on screen. It's not all of the titles we discussed, but there's a ton of them from the list that I remembered and I threw on there. So we're going to capture, let's see, we're going to put the randomizer on so everybody knows the movie for next week. Let's see. Oh, come on. Now that's not working. Hold on. One sec. I'm going to get this working, guys. Don't worry. Sometimes there's a lull. It's not a big deal. Okay. And that's... Ooh, here we go. All right, that looks horrible. That looks tacky, but that's all right. It's a last-minute edit. Here we go. Here's the randomizer. All right. I put in all those movies. You can't see them because it's cropped off at the right. It doesn't matter. We got a good list of movies here, and we're going to add to our own list. We're all going to make our own lists and add them to one big collective list that we're all going to watch. And we are open. We are open to, the audience suggestions as well. Randomizer. Let's get a drum roll. Let's get a really makeshift sloppy drum roll. Here we go. We spin the wheel.
Say Jack.
Oh, to Jason's delight, it's Blue Velvet. We get to dissect Blue Velvet next. That's our movie.
That movie a lot.
Man, we just did a. Me and Jason just did a panel about that.
Then should we redo the randomizer? Should we redo it? Hold off on Blue Velvet for another time.
It's a really good one. It's a really good one to do, but if you wouldn't mind,
let's do it. Let's do it. Okay.
Give it another spin.
It's off the list. It's off the list. We're going to the next one.
Get out of here.
Get out of here. Drum roll time. Oh, perfect. Perfect. A movie I hated when I first watched it, and I can't wait to rewatch it again under the correct lens. Our movie
Me too.
next week, and there's a lot. This is a deep one. It's a very talked about movie. Donnie Darko. We're doing it.
Darko. I
Double D.
Good movie.
It's
watch the director's cut of that too if you can.
okay. So let's specify then.
More.
We're going to be doing Donnie Darko director's cut. So let's specify that. And I will have that downloaded. I will have that put on the Telegram channel, and I'll make a YouTube post so everyone can have access to the same copy. But yeah, Donnie Darko. That's I hated this movie when I first watched it. I don't even remember the ending. I think more so this was a movie that I was told to watch by people I didn't really like. And that's why I didn't like it so much. But now I'm in a panel with 3 people I like. And I think everyone's going to say Donnie Darko's a good one. I'm going to rewatch it. Let's rewatch it. Let's reconvene next week, Mondays, for the Monday night movie club. That's the title. I think we're sticking with that. And next week, 8 p.m. Central. Let's plug ourselves. I'm Nikki. I'm Headchasm Nikki. All right, this is my new channel. You might remember me from Murder the Media. Murder the Media is dead. Who cares? I'm moving on to Headchasm. We're doing better things now. Static Age, go.
I am Static Age Show. You can find me on YouTube. And sub to this channel if you aren't already, and hit that dang like button.
And sub to Static Age. Do both. Do both. Why not both? Jason!
Probably a bad idea, but go ahead.
Go!
Hi. You can find, I don't have a channel, but you can find me in all the coolest, based, most obscure chats online on YouTube. Or Instagram, JSN Show. I post a lot of artwork and music related, film related. If you like film analysis, I do have a lot of, hardcore nerd Instagram posts about films. But yeah, that's where you can find me.
Excellent. And follow him. He's a great artist. Amazing artist. In fact, he designed the, I can't point all the way over there. My camera cuts off. All the way on the other side of the screen. That logo. Yeah. Yeah. He drew that out for me. Josiah, who's not there anymore. I don't think Josiah has anything he's going to plug except for probably the Orthodox Church and
Yeah.
Go to church.
Go to church. I'm gonna speak on behalf of Josiah. Go to church.
I will also speak on behalf of Josiah. Hey chat, has anyone today told you how awesome you are?
This is Headchasm. There's no outro. And yeah, don't worry. Next show will be a lot more organized. And this was the pilot. All right, you ever seen a pilot? You ever seen a pilot to anything? You throw it out there and then you fine tune it.
Yeah. Huge fan of 9/11. Yeah, I love pilots. 9/11.
These pilots, they do great things. They're not great at landing, but they know how to fly the plane. They hit the target. Oof. All right. Well, that was it. I'm going to stop the stream now. Guys, thanks for joining me. We'll see you next week, 8 p.m. Central. Monday night movie club, movie weekly club.
On Thursdays. I mean
On
Mondays.
Mondays. It's the Thursday night movie club on Mondays. Good night, everybody. End it. End it.